Good morning. Trump has resumed the Oval Office today. It was his good morning. Trump has resumed Oval Office today. It is his first day at the Oval Office as president in second term. If we check the facts of his first day actions, we can say that the actions will impact the overall shape of the world and global politics, and it will impact the nation states so much. For instance, the withdrawal of USA from WHO must be impacting global supply chain of medicines, basically the emergency vaccination availability, especially in the poor countries and specifically in African region, as USA stands as one of the biggest single largest donor of World Health Organization. I am going through the major declarations and administrative actions has been taken by President Trump R. He has declared a national emergency at the southern US border. He has withdrawn from WHO and withdrawn from Paris Climate Agreement, which is a source of frustration among the small island countries and countries who are severely impacted by global climate change. And you know that under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, any person born within the territory of the US is an American citizen, but there are changes in terms of definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States. So there is an end in that respect. And also there are federal workers who can return to their office, which has been held by the previous administration. One very important thing that is creating concerns among the right groups and concerned citizens of the USA is pardon for supporters who are charged on the January 6th riot, a riot which has been took place in the Capitol Hill on January 6th, 2021. So Trump has pardoned more than 1,500 supporters who are charged. And he has added Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. So Joe Biden has kind of rebuilt the diplomatic ties with Cuba, but now there is an end in that effort of Biden administration to rebuild diplomatic ties with Cuba. He has fired 4 presidential appointees from Biden era. They are Jose Andres from the Presidential Council on Sports, Fitness and Nutrition, Mark Mealy from the National Infrastructure Advisory Council, Brian Hook from the Wilson Center for Scholars, and Keisha Lance Bottoms from the President's Export Council. One significant order that is very popular among the TikTok users and TikTokers. He has delayed TikTok ban for 75 days. So it's a good news. Let's see what happens. So he has ordered remaining initiatives such as reverting Mount Denali to Mount McKinley and the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and he has cited, that he wants to uphold American heritage and historical figures. So there is another executive order what says all department agency heads with responsibility for United States foreign development assistance programs shall immediately pause new applications and disbursements of development assistance funds to foreign countries. So there is a kind of suspension of US foreign assistance pending review. So it's a major action that will impact the developing states and small developing countries and also LTCs where there is a flow of US aid. Those are contributing the development of those countries and territories. And President revokes sanctions against illegal Israeli settlers in occupied West Bank. So this is a major initiatives like that will impact Middle East politics and peace in Middle East and peace between Israel and Palestine. As we know that it has been already declared by Mr. Trump to establish a Department of Government Efficiency, and we know that Elon Musk will lead it. And there is another order like freedom of expression, which is restoring free speech. Like there will be no government censorship on some issues that restricts free expression of people. Another important order is the government will recognize only two sexes, male and female. So these are some simple facts. I think if we go on detail, then we'll see more what will happen in next 4 years term of President Donald Trump as 47th US President. So we know that more than 1,580 people for alleged January 6 related actions and secured roughly 1,270 convictions. So persons who are already sentenced. We know that Trump has promised the day before retaking office um, to delay a ban on TikTok. So these ban directs the U.S. Justice Department not to enforce the Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, which passed with broad bipartisan support in Congress and was signed in April by former President Joe Biden. That law required TikTok be banned in the United States by January 19 unless it sells to one's allies. Just before the deadline, TikTok briefly went offline for its 170 million American users, but it later came back online after Trump on Sunday morning promised to find a way to bring it back. But TikTok's ultimate fate in the US remains in doubt. It's unclear whether TikTok's China-based owner ByteDance would want to sell to a buyer, even if it were a deal brokered by Trump. So the deadline is 75 days. One important action is he reversed many Biden-era orders, like he rescinded 78 Biden-era executive actions, many of which Joe Biden signed on the first day of his administration, like the revoked policies include an executive order that required federal agencies to extend prohibitions on sex discrimination to include sexual orientation and gender identity, an order that required executive branch appointees to sign an ethics pledge, an order that allowed transgender people to serve in the US military, and an order that banned the renewal of private prison contracts. The other revoked executive orders during Biden is we already talked about it, the revoking of Cuba's name from the terror list, but Mr. Trump revoked it. Immigration was a very important issue, as Trump has raised concern about it, and he was always an anti-immigrant president, a politician. So he has redefined birthright citizenship, which will some kind of make a barrier to the many citizens who has got citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. One of the major order of the US president is withdrawing the US from the World Health Organization, a significant move cutting ties with the UN's public health agency. So Trump has long been critical of the WHO, and his administration announced in July 2020 that it would withdraw from the organization as the COVID-19 pandemic continued to spread. Biden ultimately halted that move with his own executive action, but Mr. Trump has already signed an order, and the order says that organizations' mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises, its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms, and its inability to demonstrate independence from the inappropriate political influence of WHO member states. So this is a major step which will reshape the global politics and also the global supply chain of vaccines, as there are regions in the world, especially Africa, which needs medicinal or medical support, as Africa now and then faces medical emergency. Another executive order. Mr. Trump issued two executive orders, really, directing his Department of Justice and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to open broad investigations into Biden administration censorship of free speech and weaponization of law enforcement and intelligence agencies. So the statement said the American people have witnessed the previous administration engage in a systematic campaign against its perceived political opponents, weaponizing the legal force of numerous federal law enforcement agencies and the intelligence community against those perceived political opponents in the form of investigations, prosecutions, civil enforcement actions, and other related actions. So the president also orders an executive order revoking the security clearance of 51 former intelligence officials who signed a 2020 letter arguing that emails from a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden carried all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, and that of his former national security advisor John Bolton. So it will not impact global politics, but still now there are executive orders who will create some kind of tensions in the global politics, especially the renaming of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. The statement said it is in the national interest to promote the extraordinary heritage of our nation and ensure future generations of American citizens to celebrate the legacy of our American heroes. So the major executive order that will impact entire global politics is US withdrawal from Paris Climate Accord, as the emission lowering agreement that predates his first term, in which nearly 200 nations pledged to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and if possible below 1.5 degrees. So we know that those who follow the Barbados Prime Minister, Barrister Mia Amor Motley, as she advocates intensively on the importance of keeping below 1.5 degrees as it will impact the small island countries. Like, we know that there are countries like Vanuatu and Kiribati who are already going underwater, and Maldives. There are countries in Caribbean and Pacific island countries who are really suffering a lot catastrophically for global climate change. But Trump pulled out of the agreement during his first term, and one of Biden's first actions as president was rejoining it. But Trump said on Monday he would be withdrawing from the agreement, and he has already withdrawn from the agreement. So these actions will reshape the global politics a lot, as Trump's decisions are not considered the impact of climate change on the small island countries and other impacted nations. Uh, so uh, there are analysts who are really concerned uh, that the withdrawal of US from WHO will impact um, catastrophically in the global health scenario, and it will also uh, put some barricade for the US researchers in terms of many things. So Fierce Healthcare has uh, reviewed the decision. So like there are health regulations and healthcare regulations who will stop which will be stopped by this declaration. We think if Trump administration doesn't take enough actions in this regard, it will impact global and internal pricing of various drugs like life-saving drugs and vaccines inside US and outside USA. And European Union is especially concerned about the decisions of President Biden as European Union President von der Leyen has already pledged that European principles will be upheld. At the same time, the door of negotiations and diplomacy is always open. So let's see what happens next. But we have to say that Trump administration will be more careful in terms of taking decisions, as decisions made by a US president will impact global politics and will impact nation states, as USA is a player a big player of global politics and also a standard of democracy around the globe. So US has a responsibility to carefully reinvestigate its policies and decisions made by the presidency of the USA. So thank you very much. Stay connected and stay well. Thank you again.